Another extreme weather condition that you must be prepared for in the winter months is high winds. Because you're operating a high-profile vehicle, high winds make you especially vulnerable and can be a real challenge. You can't always see the wind, but it can affect your control of the truck and trailer. If it's blowing hard enough, you can skid out, jackknife, or even roll over, no matter how careful or prepared you think you are. Lightly loaded or high-stacked loads and empty trailers are very susceptible to skids, jackknifes, and rollovers in high winds. For this reason, it's critical to understand your load before you get on the road. As you're planning your trip, always know how much weight is on board and know how the freight is loaded in the trailer. A general rule of thumb to consider is that winds of 45 miles per hour or more blowing directly from the side can easily blow over a lightly loaded or empty trailer. As you drive, it's also important to consider the terrain, man-made obstructions, and wind flow. For example, if you're driving in the mountains, winds can be very strong as a result of downflow air that flows over the mountain. Or winds that flow through canyons and valleys just past a hill can be especially strong. On windy days, even if you aren't driving in the mountains or in a canyon or valley, you can be hit by a violent crosswind when moving from a protected area, such as a tunnel or an underpass, out into an open area. As you drive on windy days, look for the absence of trees, hills, or other protection when you come out into the open. Also, become familiar with those parts of the country that are typically windy all the time, such as Wyoming, I-80 in western Nebraska, and Donner Pass in California. Combine high winds with snow cover, and you have a nasty combination, a ground blizzard. Not only do high winds increase the chance of a rollover, but the blowing snow can significantly reduce your visibility of the road and other vehicles. I-80 as it crosses Wyoming is a troublesome area for ground blizzards. A large portion of this road covers broad, open plains, and several places exceed 8,000 feet in elevation. Be especially cautious in these areas, and be prepared for the possibility of a ground blizzard when snow is present. The best way to be prepared for high winds is to constantly check the weather and watch for any high wind warning signs. Listen to the radio for weather alerts as you drive. Talk to other drivers at the truck stops, and be prepared for wind gusts. If you think it's too windy or you're empty or light loaded, stay off the road until weather conditions improve. Remember, some states even issue citations when drivers take empty or lightly loaded trailers out on the highway when there's a high wind warning. The extreme cold of winter can also be very dangerous to you and can greatly affect how efficiently your equipment runs. During the winter, the temperature in certain parts of the country can drop to staggeringly low numbers, which makes it very difficult to perform some of the duties of your job, which require you to be outside, such as pre-trip inspections. As mentioned earlier, having the proper wardrobe and supplies will help combat this issue. Whenever you have to work outside in these conditions, wear layered thermal clothing, a warm hat, gloves, and a scarf, and take breaks to warm yourself up. Don't overdo it, and know your limits. Even if you have to go outside for just a minute, bundle up and protect yourself from the cold. The cold weather also affects how your truck runs. In the winter, engines are harder to start, batteries die more frequently, diesel fuel gels, and diesel exhaust fluid freezes. However, there are things you can do in this climate to keep your truck running at optimal levels. Before you begin driving, warm the engine up. Let it idle until the temperature needle starts to move. Then proceed at a low RPM until the needle reaches operating temperature. If the temperature drops to 15 degrees or below, make sure to restart the engine within 3 hours after shutting down to make sure it'll restart when you begin driving again. When parking your equipment, don't park with the nose of the tractor facing the wind. Finally, blend your fuel and utilize approved fuel additives. For more details on treating your fuel in the winter, please refer to the Winter Fuel Management e-Trainer.